Why did the kingdom of Israel split? Our tragic story begins with King Solomon, who started out following God's laws and commandments like his father David, but eventually worshipped false gods. Of course, this was a huge sin against the one true God. There would be consequences for such terrible actions. A man named Jeroboam was in charge of King Solomon's workers. They were upset because Solomon made them pay high taxes and forced them to work very hard on city projects. One day, God's prophet Ahijah brought a message to Jeroboam. He did a very strange thing. He took the new cloak he was wearing, tore it into 12 pieces, and then gave 10 of the pieces to Jeroboam. This action meant that in the future, because of Solomon's idolatry, God would rip the kingdom into two parts, one in the north, called Israel, and one in the south, called Judah. Jeroboam would become king of the 10 northern tribes, and if he would keep God's laws, God would be with him and build him a lasting dynasty like David's. When Solomon died, his son Rehoboam became the new king of Israel. With a new king in place, Jeroboam and the unhappy workers asked Rehoboam to lighten their workload. Rehoboam said he would take 3 days to think about it. During this time, two groups offered advice. One was an older group of men, wise with experience, who had previously counseled Solomon. Their advice was this: if you will be a servant to these people and serve them this day, and if you will respond by speaking kind words to them, they will be your servants forever. In other words, they advised him to lighten their workload and be kind to them. Unfortunately, however, Rehoboam chose to listen to the other group, which consisted of his young, inexperienced friends he had grown up with. They said that Rehoboam should threaten the workers with a harder workload and severe punishments. Rehoboam should have looked to God in prayer as his father Solomon and grandfather David had done. When we are faced with decisions, it's best to take the issue to God and pray that He might reveal the correct course. Then we should be watchful and alert to His leadings. As a result of this unwise action, the 10 northern tribes revolted and named Jeroboam as their king. God's prophecy through Ahijah had come true. Rehoboam gathered an army to fight against the north and take the whole kingdom back for himself, but a prophet from God told him not to fight and to go home. God said, "This thing is from me." Rehoboam obeyed and went home. It's clear the splitting of Israel into two parts was obviously God's will. Jeroboam was now the king of the north, and Rehoboam retained control of only the south. Tragically, both kings were very bad because they led the people away from the worship of the one true God with made-up gods and useless idols. So why did the kingdom of Israel split? Tension and jealousy had already existed between the northern and southern parts. The final push for the kingdom to split came from a bad decision by Rehoboam. But in the end, it was God's will that the kingdom should be split for a time. Thank you for liking and subscribing.